Jim Gordon here in the offices of the Richmond Sentinel. Time for another edition of Richmond Stories. She is a Canadian singer and a darn good one, living in Richmond. She has toured the world with her one-woman show and has wowed audiences and critics alike. Sellout shows in the US, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and of course here in Canada. I'm going to blow her horn a little more. She has been called magnificent, simply brilliant, one of the best musical comedians I've ever seen. A profound sense of hilarity, a standing ovation was just not enough, a smart comedian. The person I'm talking about is joining us here in the offices of the Richmond Sentinel on their set, where we shoot a lot of the video for our partners at the Richmond Sentinel. I'm talking about Shirley Gnome, who is right here, who sat there quietly when I was able to sing her praises.
Yeah, I could go now. That's all I came here
There's
for.
no more interview, it's just
Yeah,
that.
I just needed to hear that today, honestly.
Hey, congratulations. Thanks for joining us. I know you're in the middle of the tour right now, but it's great to meet you because I got into your stuff, and I've got to say, your website, first line I see on the website, "Hi, I'm Shirley Gnome. It's nice to meet you. I'm a singer of songs. I'm pretty famous now because I have a website. I'm excited to start collecting all the internet money I keep hearing about." You had me as a fan right there. I have to ask you to start out, I love it when I sit with an actor or a musician or a comedian. Tell our viewers, what is it you see, you hear, you read that makes you say way back when, that is what I want to do?
Well, I think that the first thought that I actually had was not that I want to do this, but that I like this. I actually didn't think that I was going to do this as a living, but there were some influences in my childhood that I just loved silly songs so much. And so I think the first one is probably Weird Al, like a lot of people.
Okay. Yeah,
and Weird Al is known for doing parody songs, but he had quite a lot of original songs that he did too.
Yeah.
And I had CDs of his and I just wore them out. I loved them so much. And there were also a couple of Canadian groups, the Arrogant Worms, Three Dead Trolls in a Baggie, and Corky and the Juice Pigs. And these were all bands in the 90s that had some like cultural influence that I was able to hear them on TV and stuff. And they were hilarious. They're just hilarious guys singing 3-part harmonies, and I love that too. So I think that was all instilled the love of it, but it wasn't until much later that I thought, oh, maybe I can do this. Because, you know, also all of those guys were dudes, so it didn't actually occur to me. It's like, I didn't know that girls played hockey until I was like way older. Because I didn't see it. I was just like, oh, that's a boy thing. So it took a little while for me to go, oh, wait a minute.
I can imagine. I mean, I'm someone who grew up, say, in the 70s and the 80s, where even on shows like SNL, women were kind of the accessories. It was a guy's room. That is not the case anymore, I'm happy to say. But
yes.
What's great about what you do as well is that I said to you before we went on camera, you're a very, very good singer.
Stop.
So what you are, and I think that, I said to you earlier, I don't know whether that disarms the audience.
Yeah.
Because you do it very seriously, but they're laughing hysterically.
Yes, well, one thing that when I work on all my albums is like, this is something that my producer Kevy pointed out to me. It's like, we're taking this very seriously. Like, yeah, we're producing this like this is just an album.
Yeah.
We're putting all of the effort and skill that's required to make it sound like an album, so that when you're listening to it, you know, if you don't pay attention to the lyrics, you're just like, oh, this is a nice song, and then you go, wait, what did you just say?
Yeah.
And that's the approach, because I think disarming's a good way of describing it. I also think maybe confusing is also pretty good too. And it works. It gets into people. It kind of opens a soft spot, and then you can really get them.
Yeah, because for people that may not know, your show, of course, is very musical, and I watched one of the songs you do called Selfish, which, as you said, you're going, this is just reminding me of, say, angst 90s. But then, as you said, I go, what'd you just say? And so tell our viewers a little more about what they can see when you do your show, because you do a lot of things. You've won many awards, and critical praise again for this one-woman show you do.
Well, I mean, essentially what you walk into is like a concert, you know, and I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm going to sing you some songs. And then the songs are all sort of on a spectrum between like satirical to absurd. I like to send up genres and use the sort of musicality of different genres and juxtapose them with the messages that I put in the songs. So like a very serious, angsty song could make something write it about something very innocuous and something, that you just wouldn't make that dramatic. Or, in any way, like you just constantly combine those things. And I try to keep the audience guessing where exactly I'm going to go, Yeah. That's another thing. You watch people kind of watch when I introduce a song and they go, okay, what is this actually going to be about? Because I never introduce a song the way you think it's going to be, so.
Yeah, and as we both discussed, you're doing it honestly or seriously, if those are the right words. You're not playing this for laughs.
No.
I was looking at what you did with the iconic Canadian song, It's All Coming Back to Me Now by Shirley Gnome, and it's played so brilliantly, and you are not waiting for the rim shot. But it just has people. It's an awkwardness about it.
Oh yeah,
which is also brilliant.
Yeah, and I learned that from clowns. I watched clowns.
Clowns.
I went to Australia and I met a bunch of clowns. Now there's lots of clowns here. I just didn't know that until I had to travel halfway around the world and discover these French-trained bouffant clowns, all these different styles of clowning. And I'm not an expert on it, but I watch them enough to know that they're about acknowledging the truth in the space, and that is often very awkward. So I just try to bring that into some of the stuff I do, including when I do cover songs, which I never do successfully. That's definitely part of the brand.
Yeah, this forgetting the lyrics thing that you do with that song is very, very funny.
Thanks.
How do you talk about the difference between, say, being on stage, getting that feedback? How are you in the studio? Like, I know you're going to be. We should mention December 7th.
Yes.
That's a live.
That's going to be live.
Yeah. But can you explain what's it like if you're in the studio just recording with you and the team?
Well,
how do you generate that feedback or a sense of that kind of? Is this funny? Is
this okay? Yeah. Am I about to fail at my career? What I do typically, which is different than most musicians, is I will go out and I'll play those songs for audiences first before I record them.
Right.
I will try them out a little bit. I'll make sure that I've got all of the jokes lined up in the right place and that I know it will land. And then I go into the studio with the confidence of knowing I have a good one. Although I did in the pandemic do a bunch of songs that I didn't ever get a chance to road test, but I prefer to do them first. So then when I go into the studio, it's just about supporting all of that humor with the production value. And of course we have people come in and listen to demos, and I watch people listen to it because I can see when they are really focused and I can see when they're not because they're laughing too hard or they've disengaged, and I can kind of start maybe massaging it a little bit with that too. So it's a two-pronged approach.
How do you find, even in our country, if we keep it domestic, how do you find audiences? Is there a big?
Oh, good.
We're saying and you're in Montreal or you're in Winnipeg or you're in Kelowna. How do you find the audience? Is there a noticeable difference?
Well, from city to city, I would say so. It's sort of. I would say social, economic, and political flavors from different cities will affect how they perceive different jokes.
Right.
And different genres too. Like when I go to Alberta, they really love the country music, right? And then whereas I go somewhere else, you can tell people are like, I don't know if I like country music. And then, 'cause I started only doing country music. Now I do lots of things.
I was going to say folk, rock, electro pop, R&B.
Yeah, but I play a lot of acoustic guitar, so I do a lot of folk and country kind of in the middle section of the show and keep it like that. And there's some people that are just more inclined to like that in certain places, and some that might be a little more resistant until I get them.
Yeah.
So there's things like that, and certain jokes land differently in different places, and that's kind of fun. It's kind of like traveling through humor.
That's a good way to put it. That's a great way to end it, too.
Okay.
Hey, this has been great. I'm very happy for your success. Shirley Gnome, you can see your website up here on the screen, more details. And as we said, you've got a big session. I mean, you're touring nonstop, but December 7th. Where is this live recording session going to take place?
As far as we know at this point, we're actually going to do it at the 604 Records soundstage.
Okay.
Yeah, so 604 Records, I'm going on tour with them this fall with Comedy Here Often. That's their comedy label. And they have this beautiful space there, and because we want to make it sound as good as possible, doing it right in the soundstage with all of the recording gear there, and we're going to build an audience setting into it. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be a lot of surprises. There's going to be a lot of, secret castings of people that will be making some appearances. There's going to be a full band backing me up, so it's going to be like a really special show, and I'm really excited we are capturing it.
Hey, thanks for coming into the offices of the Richmond Sentinel where we're filming this.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Welcome.